All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to my developer stream of Before We Leave. So for those of you who don't know me, I'm Sam Barham. I'm the Creative Director of Balancing Monkey Games. And I'm here today to show Before We Leave, and in particular to show some of the in-development stuff from our upcoming update, which we're currently calling the Wasteland update. I don't know if that's going to be the final title or not, but we shall see. So yeah, if you haven't seen it before, this is Before We Leave. It's a city building, colony building sort of game. You start out, your peeps come out of a underground shelter and they have to rebuild their civilization that they've lost. So this is a game I started it, just played through a wee bit so that I could start from not right at the very start. We've got a little town going, an elevator up onto some high ground where we're mining some stone and iron and all the rest of it. And we're, sorry, a little bit distracted. We're having a little bit of trouble getting the stream onto the storefront, but hopefully that'll get sorted. So yeah, so this is what we've got going, and I'm going to unpause it. So yeah, I'm going to tell you about a few of the things that are coming up in our new update. So some of them I can just easily show you in this little island I've got. There's a new building over here. I'm going to talk about that later on. But one of the changes that we're making, we're taking a look at how the library works, how research works. So it's still the same as it is. You still have your tree of research and everything. But we have reordered a few things, and interestingly, now if you mouse over something, the things that it leads to are now highlighted, the lines. This is because we're thinking about, some places the lines overlap. You can see here the lines overlap. Just wanted to make it a bit clearer. I should say I'm running in a debug build of the game, which allows you to see all of the technology. Normally, because I haven't discovered the later kinds of technology, all of this would be hidden and you'd only see these parts. But I needed to have a debug version so that I can show off all of the things that we're adding. So yeah, so for example, this is I believe this is cement, which is an existing technology in the game. But distracted. But now we've made more things rely on it because there were buildings that needed cement to be constructed, but they didn't rely on the cement technology, and we've rearranged a few things to make it a bit clearer. That was one of the things that we rearranged. Another thing that we've done is we've added a whole new kind of technology. So normally this doesn't open up until later on in the game, but there's now repeatable technologies. So these are more technologies that you can get access to, and unlike these ones, you can research them repeatedly. So if I wanted to, I could research garden tools, which makes my fields work faster, shoes to make my peeps move faster, packing, which increases the amount of resources in ports, in warehouses and ports. And I can research those multiple times. So packing, I think, adds 10 to your warehouses and your ports, and I could research that several times and add 20, 30, 40, 50, which is pretty handy. Oh, hello Bowie. You didn't miss anything much. I was just sort of introducing what we were doing. Just talking about the changes to technology. And they get more expensive. I'm not going to do any of them right now because I need this research points for other things. But like if I research garden tools, then all these three here, the next level up would cost 200 green tech. And if I researched shoes as well, the next level up of any of them would cost 300 tools, green research. And each of these, the red, the blue and the purple, is the same. It's more technologies that you get access to as you discover more kinds of tech that you can research repeatedly. So that's what we're doing with technology. Another thing that we've done is most technologies are much faster to research now. We decided that the whole kind of finding the technology and getting to the library is enough, and then you should be able to just research the technology straight away. So you don't like tell it to go and research something and then forget what you're doing and why you were doing it by the time it's actually finished. All right, enough muddling about. Let's go and do something. Oh, there we go. So we're going to go and find a new island, just like the usual thing. Get rid of those, and we'll colonize it. Now, here's another big change. So these are all things that you would have seen before if you've played the game, but not this one. The experience of sailing your first ship has unlocked the secrets of the shipping technology. So normally, or the way it used to work, is you'd build you'd repair your ruined spaceship, you'd come over here, you'd colonize the island, and then the very first thing you'd have to do would be set up your little town and get enough of the new red research to invent shipping, which would then allow you to ship resources back and forth between your islands. But I guess part of what we're doing here with this update is we're trying to think, how can we make the game more enjoyable? How can we streamline things? How can we take out some of the slow parts and make it, you get to the good bits quicker. And so what we've done is anytime you repair a ruined building, you potentially get some technology from it. So you'll notice here I've already got access to wood power, which normally I wouldn't have yet, but repairing the ruined wooden generator gave me that technology. And similarly, landing my first ship gave me the shipping technology. So right now, if I want to, which I do, I can already go and say make a port. We'll put a port there, and I also want a shipwright, which I'm going to build there. So I can already start getting all of that shipping set up before I need to do anything else. Alright, so I'm going to get this island sorted, clean things up a bit. Need some houses and some fields. So this is another change that you'll have noticed. So normally, in the old version of the game, you couldn't access researched buildings until you'd built a library, and it was quite an important fix, but it was a fix to an issue that people had way back at the start when we initially released the game. People were getting really confused about the order of things and how things needed to be, in particular about the need to research shipping to start up your shipping route. And the solution we ended up coming up with was that you needed a library in order to access those invented technologies. It was a bit more roundabout than that, but that was the general idea. But now that we've added the thing where repairing ruined buildings gives you these core technologies of shipping and space flight as well when you land your first spaceship, we didn't need that anymore. So now you get access to all your buildings straight away. Again, streamlining the game, taking out things that just don't need to be there. So I'm still going to build some potatoes instead of going for the fruit and things, just because they're cheaper, and I'm still just getting my settlement, set up and working. Where we go? We're going to put a woodcutter over here, and I still want my explorer's hut and library because I want to access that sweet red research. Oh, hello everybody. We've got Ella Charmed and Ninja and everyone. Wabi, hi Wabi. No, there are no chickens in this update before you ask. Oh, right. I can show another cool thing. There's so many cool things in this update. Um, so I just didn't quite catch it. This one? There you go. So in the before times, a building wouldn't start construction until it had all its resources. It would sit there, no one would do anything, they would gather all the resources and gather. And when they had all the resources, the 4 wood and the 3 tools, then a worker would start working at it to construct the building. And we've changed that up. So now the progress meter can go, like if you've got, here we've got 4/7 of the full resources. So construction can go up to 4/7 of being full. So as soon as the tools arrive, the last 3/7 of the construction can finish. So again, just streamlining things, making it so you don't have to wait around for things that don't need to be waited around for. So just let that do its thing. How you doing? Getting there. All right, we need some more huts. Don't want to use up too much of that lovely green land, but I think I'll do some. There we go. And a few more huts. I should mention this is all work in progress. I may hit bugs. There are unfinished pieces, and I mean, even though this is all implemented, there's no guarantee that it's going to arrive exactly as you see it here in the final update. It hasn't gone through any wider testing. There's no QA, no community tests yet or anything like that. So we'll get there, but it's just finishing things off. All right, so we'll let that work its way out. Too many jobs, too many things, not enough peeps, too many things to do. That's the problem. You guys actually can just pause for a moment. Go and build those houses for me. Then we'll have more people, and then you can do some work. No, just speed up, get that done. Unpause those. There we go. Right, so now that we've found red research, we've of course got all these new things that we can build. But none of them are needed just yet, so I'm going to ignore that for now. There's another new technology down here that we'll see later on. But that one, like some of the Guardian technologies, the museum and so on, that's locked until you encounter the right conditions, which we've added. Alright, back over here. Nothing much going on. We've run out of research together, so we don't need that anymore. Alright, I'm going to make me a trade ship, and then I'll show you the big feature, or one of the big features. Check my notes. I made notes of all the things I needed to show off, so I've shown that one, shown that one, shown that one. Cool, getting there. And that, what I was talking about, that works the same here. So while they're gathering the wood, you can see that construction has already started on the ship. Just zoom through that. Alright, we have a trade ship, and now for our new feature of smart shipping. So the way things used to work, as I'm sure you're all familiar with, you'd have, these looked different, and you could drag lines between them as shipping lanes, and you would control things through that. So you'd say, I want resource, I want tools to be carried from here over to here along this line. And it's been like that since release, and I'm happy to admit it's a bit confusing. People get a bit confused by it. People aren't quite sure what the heck is going on. And eventually, finally, we realized that there is a better way to do it. It wasn't that we weren't changing it because we thought it should be the way it is. it's because we couldn't figure out how to do it better. And now we have. So we have a whole new way of doing things. So the way this works now is this is a debug version, which is why all the resources are here. Normally it would only show you the resources you know about. And I'm going to say this island wants to be trading tools. And this island over here also wants to be trading tools. So now it's set the automatic value to 20. So they're both saying, I want to have 20 tools, please. And they're both saying, I only have 8 tools, which is not terribly useful. Oh, come back. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in and I'm going to edit them. So this one here, I'm going to say, actually, I only want 0 tools. So now it is exporting them. And this one over here, it's wanting 20. I'm going to make it actually, I want 15 tools. And I click on that and it changes it. I can also click on these buttons directly to change them. And you can do a few useful things, like you can minimize them if you're just wanting to, like if you've got a lot of resources configured here. And you can also decide which things you want to be able to view. So I'm going to add a few more things in. Let's say I'm going to transport over some wood, and I'm going to hand out potatoes if they're wanted. That might be enough for now. So we'll close that, and this one over here is going to want to import wood and potatoes. There you go, 15 of each. So not quite sure why it's saying that. Anyway, and this here ship should be, yep. So because it's trade ships, they start on auto mode. It's just happily transporting resources for me. So it's currently taking over some tools because that's what's needed. Oh dear, some daft twit built wells, not potatoes. Let's try that again. Let's have a look at chat, see what people are talking about. Yeah, no more confusing trade lane spaghetti. That is exactly right. That's the whole reason why we're doing this. And in fact, this mistake here I made with tools will hopefully sort itself out, because that ship is taking potatoes. Oh, we only just caught it, but it was taking potatoes for me. And another, actually a really cool thing that it means that we didn't intend this, but we spotted it after doing it. So I've set these two islands up, right? And they both say, I want to have 15 potatoes on my island. And currently this island's got lots of potatoes, so it's exporting them over to island 2. But if things change, let's say a weather system comes along and completely tanks island 1's ability to make food. The system will just naturally go, oh, okay, you've run out of food, there's plenty over here now, so I'll export it back again for you. So that's pretty super cool. I think that's a good reason to have both set up with a number rather than setting them down to 0, because then they'll just they'll transport resources back and forth for you. Ship was quicker. No, ships are the same speed. They're just doing their thing. And the other thing is that this works perfectly well between planets, so you don't need to set up anything in space mode. You can. We're not going to get to space mode today, but if you're in space view, you can see the planets and you can then edit which islands want stuff. But like if this island was set up to say, I want gadgets, and no other island on this planet is set to export gadgets or makes gadgets, but another planet does, and an island on planet 2 was saying, hey, I've got gadgets that I'm happy to export, then it'll happily go, okay, so a ship takes gadgets from this island to the island with the spaceport, a spaceship takes resources from the spaceport to this planet, and then the resources go from the spaceport island to the island that wants them, and it all just works. And no, Bowie, it won't fry your CPU. It's not doing any significant work to figure that out. It's actually a pretty, once we've figured it out, once we've built it, it's not a too complicated of a system really under the hood. So yeah, that's one of our big ticket features that we're so happy. It feels so much better than the old system, which I should mention. So the old system of shipping is still in there. You can keep it for a new game if you want. Any games that you load will still be using the old system. By default, a new game will use this new shipping system, but you can change it in the difficulty settings. And if you load an old game, then when you can go to settings and there'll be a button to switch to the new shipping system if you want. You can't switch back again, so a new smart shipping game can't be turned into an old space lane shipping way of doing things. So yeah, so that's one of the big new things, which is pretty awesome. All right. So things are shipping back and forth. What do I need to do now? Let's research something. What have we got? Pollution cleaning, I'll research that. Houses, yeah, we'll get that next. Actually, I'm just going to do the thing anyway and go, you can, 0, go there, and you, we want to fill that. Is that set up? Yep, so that's exporting. I'm not sure why that's saying that it's unable to import, but I think it'll sort itself out anyway. As I said, work in progress. We're still getting things sorted out. So that should bring all the research over here, and we can, as usual, do all our research in one place. But yeah, I mean, that means if I discover a new island, I don't need to set up another shipping lane here to bring the research in. I just say, oh, this island also wants to export all its research, and it will just work. Which is pretty handy. All right, just checking chat. Anything else going on? Oh, cool. All right, so the next thing that I wanted to show you, which one shall I show? Let's do the Wasteland. So obviously we're calling this the Wasteland update, and that's just one of the features. So we may rename it to something more all-encompassing, but anyway. So the Wasteland wouldn't normally turn up in a game like this. It's not advanced enough. It only turns up when you've got tiles that are highly polluted or very highly polluted, and then it will just occasionally randomly turn up. And I'm just going to actually save my game before I make anything go horribly wrong. Just in case. From Ninja Pizza Monkey, you could theoretically, not that it's a good idea, set every island to trade every resource, and it'll try and balance it out across the entire solar system. Yes, absolutely. You could do that. I don't know why you'd want to. It's, still good to be targeted about things, but yep, it should work out. Alacharm, do we always have to do the in and out on both sides? What happens if I do export but no import? Yes, so if there's no, like if I say I want this island to import tea, all right, I want tea, then it's going, oh, no one else is exporting it. There's nowhere for me to get it from. So you do need to set up both sides, both islands. Otherwise it doesn't know, like, maybe you, for some strategic reason, you don't want this island to be exporting tea. So you do need to set that up so that it's got both sides of the equation. I'll just get rid of that one because I don't want to be exporting tea because I don't have any. Alright, so back to Wasteland. So I'm just going to use my super secret button to produce it. Boom. There you go. So that's what Wasteland looks like. And There's a toxic tile. It's gone all nasty and toxic, and the rest of it, as you can see, goes all purple and gross. Now this, I have to say, is a placeholder visual effect. Isaac's going to make something hopefully even more awesomer than that, but we'll see how we go. So the consequences of this, it's kind of like pollution but even worse. So PEEPs will not work in any of these buildings. It's shut down. You can't make iron, you can't make tools, you can't get stone. They will enter it if they've got no choice to gather resources. So if you need tools and the only place you've got tools on the island is in the toolsmith, then they'll still go in there and pick them up. But anytime they enter, when they come back out, they get sick, which means they have to go home and rest, just like fatigue on a hot or a cold island. And that's what happens. Now, the way that you fix it is it should now have unlocked decontamination. So I can research decontamination, which I'll do. I'm probably actually going to fix it just with a cheeky hack to turn it off again, but I'll show you the process. So we're researching. Come on, speed up. I said research completes faster. It does, but not all of them are still super fast. Some of them are like 2 seconds now, but later ones still take a while, just less of a while. Alright, so now I should have, where did I put them? Here we go, new technologies, new buildings. So there's protective elevator. If you play through to the end of the game, you'll recognize this as an end game building for getting onto Astrobalenium to mine it. So it's now available here, which would allow me to build an elevator up to get into there. There's also airlock, which is the same thing, but just without the change in elevation. So that, whether it's the elevator or the airlock, allows peeps to change into their special protective clothing, which allows them to enter the area without getting sick. They still can't work in the buildings, but at least they won't get sick if they go in there to get resources. And then the important building it gives you, again, where did I put it? There we go, is this toxic sludge extractor. So if I build that there, then it will just sit there and churn away happily. Actually, I can probably build it anyway. Will they go in? I think they will. Maybe they won't. You place it on the toxic tile and it will clean it up, and then this wasteland will be removed. Bowie, are those little cones a new thing? Yes, so there are little cones all around the edge of the wasteland. If I put another one, I'll put one over here. So you can see you get cones all around the edge going like, warning, don't enter, it's horribly polluted and you'll die. Style of thing. So yeah, oh, what's going on? I can just do the hack thing. Now why is that not letting me? There we go. Turn it off anyway. So that's, yeah, so normally you can't just turn it off like that, but I didn't want to have to go through the whole repairing thing. Apart from anything else, I don't have some of the things I need. I don't have steel or clothing or oil yet. And normally you wouldn't get these toxic tiles turning up until you've got the resources you need to be able to fix it. So yeah, so that's the wasteland. And the idea is just, you get people who play it because, just ignore their pollution. They don't care, they can just sit on 4 times speed, and sure, the peeps are unhappy, but meh, they're still getting the job done. So we added Wasteland in just to be a stronger consequence of that. It is, of course, something you can turn off in the difficulty settings. If you turn your pollution effect off, then you don't get Wasteland either. I don't think we've done it yet, but we may add a separate... can you make a note of that, Isaac? Let's have a separate difficulty setting for turning Wasteland off, if you don't want to have to deal with it. We like our difficulty settings. Alright, so that's Wasteland. Alright, so the next thing, oh, and it's dark, this is going to make it even more spectacular. So, one of the things that people tell us about before we leave is it does get a little bit samey towards the end. So you've colonized a couple of islands and or a couple of planets, and you've seen everything pretty much. You know what's going to happen if you colonize a new island. It's like, oh yes, that is another desert island. I know how to deal with that, or that is another swamp island, or whatever. Um, let's just queue up some research here, so it can be doing things while I'm yabbering. And so we thought about how can we make it that things are still interesting, things are still different. And what we've added are these, I think I've renamed that to Nanotech, so these Nanotech Spires rather than Machine Spire. You won't get them on your first planet, because your first planet, like, you've got to deal with just surviving on it. But later on, you'll start finding these on your middle and your outer planets. And the idea is that you get a choice. So, as it says here, mysterious metallic fronds thrust up from underground. The peeps can see that root-like tendrils stretch out throughout the island. A grating metallic voice echoes in your peeps' minds, asking them to make a choice. And so here is the choice. Choose an option. Oh, pause it. Choose an option to alter this island. It will be permanent and irreversible, so choose wisely. We're going to color code these buttons. We just haven't quite got to that yet. So there's one choice that it's a little bonus, something nice and easy that will just give you a wee bonus on this island, make it a little bit different, but nothing significant. In this example, change production of metal to plus 20% of normal. So all of my steel smelters and my iron ore mines and my iron smelters will go a bit faster. Then you've got a second option, which is similar but also has a downside and has a better upside. So I can make my trees go 9 times. So when I cut down trees, they get replaced 9 times faster, which is pretty big. It's a big bonus. But my peeps will require 2 food each time they want to start working. So instead of eating 1 food every couple of minutes, they'll eat 2 food every couple of minutes. So that's kind of bad. But my trees go faster. And you've got one which has a big upside and a big downside. So in this case, replace the machine spire on the island with an autonomous Aegis. So that's an end game building, which I'm going to show you this one because it's cool. And normally the Aegis shield requires enormous amounts of power, but this one is autonomous. It doesn't require any. But change all low tiles on the island to desert. So all of a sudden, all of this would become desert. Now the cool thing that we added in, or I think it's cool, so normally you can't put fields on a desert or wells. So of course they need to shut down. But I thought shutting down, that's boring. How about we remove them? Now I could have just gone, you know what, let's just, we'll demolish them nicely, we'll leave little caches of resources and all the rest of it. But dude, this is like a nanotechnology thing fundamentally altering your entire island at its base level. So what happens is, I'll just unpause and we'll go, you know what, we're going to do that one. Choose option 3. Zoom out a little bit. So they'll go up there, dude's going to explore this terrifying ruin. Wait for it. There we go. Oh dear, they all exploded. That's unfortunate. But in return for exploding all of our grass and having no food production left on this island, I now have a cool planetary shield over my island so the space whales can't eat it. Haha! Suck that, space whales. So yeah, that's what the nanotech does. Now I'm actually going to reload because that was not what I actually wanted to do. Oh, something else, I just added this morning. You're going to be able to click to cycle through these while you're loading. So if you want to see more hints, you can be like, click, 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 show me the hints. There you go. So let's go, actually, I'm just going to go with the boring one. Just make my metal work a little bit faster. So that can go and happen. So yeah, so that's nanotechnology. So the idea is, the idea behind it is you get to an island, it's like, oh, it's another grass island. But no, now it's a grass island that peeps no longer require food, or it's a grass island where my fields are twice as productive, or something like that, to allow you to give you these big interesting bonuses to change your strategy, to change how things work. So you have to, new challenges, but also new opportunities with how you want to work, how you want your islands to work. And you can choose, do you have the little bonus, or do you have a nice big meaty challenge of how do I deal with this unusual penalty that comes along with a good upside. Cool. So I've talked about shipping. I've talked about nanotech. Oh, I should ask, hey chat, you got any questions? Any questions so far? Anything, not just what I've shown, here I am, lead developer, ask me questions. We'll see if anything turns up while I yammer for a bit. Right, so the next thing is decorative buildings. So this is placeholder icons, but we now have decorative buildings. So they've got no effect, no way of changing what they do or anything like that. They're just decorative. No way of changing what they do. They don't affect the game in any way. They're just there to look pretty. And I've unlocked 2 so far. So I can build a peaceful pond. They're quite expensive, but they need to be. So we've got a peaceful pond that we can get people to build. Oh, I'm going to have to change my shipping. Stop taking all of my tools, and in fact I want them back again, please. There we go. So that'll start churning away. I've also got a magical tree. This is going to have cool particle effects and stuff on it. We just haven't added those yet. So the pond, I think you earn that for cleaning up pollution or something. The magical tree, you earn that one the first time you activate a Nanotech Spire. And the other ones have different ways of activating them, earning them. I'm not going to tell you what they are. You'll figure them out. But the idea is you can just give your planet its own, your island its own personality. This is the island with all kinds of ponds and parks on it. This island's covered in statues, or whatever you want to do. You can celebrate your achievements of earning those things. You can show them off. Alright, question from Bowie. What statistic triggers a boat to load a resource from an island to another? So that's just these 2 numbers here. So the first number is how much is available on this island, and you don't control that. That's looking at the island, looking at what resources are available, stored on there, constructed there. The second number is this island number here, and this is saying this is the number I want to have on the island. So at the moment I've got 42 and I only want 15, so I'm exporting it. This one here, I've only got 0 and I want as many as I can possibly take, so I'm importing it. And that's all there is to it. So you can go in here, you can change that number, so you can see the current level, you can change that to whatever you want. Oh, look at that, I'm now importing it, although there's a warning saying I'm importing it, but there's no one to import it from. Like that. Another question, with automatic trading, is there a way to prioritize certain resources to be shipped before others? So there isn't exactly. It does some stuff. So if there's a larger disparity, so if the difference between these is big, then it's more likely to ship it. But also any resource that hasn't been shipped, there's a timer that slowly adds importance to it. So even if you've got like, something where there's this huge disparity, so it's constantly shipping stuff over to try and fill this disparity, and something else that's just sitting in the background not getting shipped, eventually, and it's not a long eventually, like, a few minutes, it'll go, okay, that one's now become more important simply because it hasn't been shipped, so I'll ship that over instead, is the idea. What is considered available? Total resource minus allocated resource. Yep, so available is just how much is stored on the island minus anything that's allocated. So if a building is under construction, then the resources needed to construct it won't get taken away, even if the island's exporting those resources, that kind of thing. Now this is all going to be going to onto the public experimental branch. Yes, so important news. The intention is that by the end of this week, we will have released all of this on our experimental branch, so that if you want to try it out and give us feedback, you can. It's definitely early enough in the process that we can take on feedback and figure stuff out and fix things that are broken. I should say that there's no way this is getting released before the end of the year. Even if we finish this update in terms of our coding of it early December, there's still some new sound effects to come in, there's still icons to come in, and then it still needs to go through the proper QA processes, make sure nothing's broken, because we don't want to do that. And that's not going to finish until sometime in January. So I don't have a release date for this yet, but it's going to be early-ish next year. Simply because we're getting towards the end of the year and everything takes longer and everything else is going on. So that's the way things are. But yep, it should be on experimental probably at the end of this week for you to have a go with. Cool, just checking my notes and the chat. Alright, so there's a few more things that I'm going to tell you about, but I can't show them to you simply because the save game I have here is at the wrong stage. So we're adding a few more other buildings. Yep, a few more other buildings. So one we're adding is currently called the Reclamation Spire. And it's this big tall thing that belches smoke out of smokestacks on the top. And you can build that on top of deposits of astrobilinium, and it removes them. It actually grinds away the astrobilinium so it's gone. It's horrendously polluting while it's doing that. So you need to clean up all the pollution. But if whale comes along, dumps astrobilinium in just the most unhelpful place ever, then you can now remove it, clean up that island. So that's pretty cool. And we're adding a whole new kind of building, which we haven't had before, that we're calling hub buildings. So the idea of hub building is that they don't do anything by themselves. They've got no function of their own, but they can affect the surrounding building. So we're adding 3. We're adding, and they're invented with a new technology, logistics, which is somewhere around about here in the tech tree. So you get access to it when you land on your second planet. And so there's 3. So there's a storage hub. The idea of a storage hub is you can place it next to like production buildings and mines and things like that. It automatically acts as a small single tile warehouse and will store the resources created and used by surrounding buildings, but it also transports them automatically between them. So for example, if I had a storage hub here, then when the toolsmith wants iron, a peep doesn't need to go out and get iron from the smelter and bring it back again. The storage hub will just automatically transport iron from the smelter to the toolsmith by itself. if I'd managed to arrange things so that my iron mine was also next to the same storage hub, then all three of these buildings would transfer resources between each other just magically, which is very handy. It just speeds things up, streamlines processes at the cost. So the cost of a hub building is that more difficult layout. So I have to work out how do I lay out my buildings so that they're all next to the appropriate hub. Most hubs you can't have more than one hub next to a building and stuff like that. Hubs also work with ports, and if you have a storage hub next to a port, then when resources are needed for shipping, the workers in the hub will also go out and fetch resources, so it speeds up, it adds more workers to fetch resources for your hub, your port. The second kind of hub we're adding is a workshop hub, and that also can go next to production buildings, and all it does is it just speeds up the rate at which they construct resources. But as I said, you can't have multiple kinds of hub next to the same building, so you've got to choose. Do you want your resources transferred between buildings and stored automatically, or do you want to have them producing the resources faster? And the third type of hub is a relaxation hub. It's a hot tub. So you put that next to accommodation buildings, next to your huts and your houses and your apartments. And the peeps, when they're at home, they go and sit in the hot tub. It looks really cute. And anytime they do that, they become immune to one source of unhappiness of your choice. So for example, here I've got this area, it's all slightly polluted. So peeps walking through here, they get a little bit sad because they're walking through pollution. I could have replace this with a hot tub and make those peeps immune to a pollution, or immune to hard work, or immune to overpopulation from having too many peeps. So that's the idea of hubs. I see there's a question there from Saberline. Does the hub have to be directly adjacent to those buildings? Yes, it does. So it's like an adjacency bonus. It's exactly like one of these adjacency bonuses, and it only affects directly adjacent buildings. So I think that's all the new buildings we're adding. I may have forgotten some. We're adding a bunch. And yes, hubs have to be connected to roads still. So you have to, like I couldn't put a hub here and then put another house here. You have to still have road access. And I mean, they're pretty powerful effects. The storage hub and the relaxation hub, in particular, they're quite powerful. And the advantage that the downside is just that extra planning that you need to put in. How am I going to lay everything out on my little islands so that I can put in the hubs that I want where I want them? Another thing that we're doing, we noticed that some of these categories towards the end of the game, especially this storage and transport, it gets really long. There's lots of storage and transport buildings. So we've rearranged things a bit. And I mean, I'm not at the point where you can see it, but for example, the cleaner is no longer, used to be here. We've moved it so it's here. Just sorting things out. I think we even, technology and cleaning building, because there's lots of cleaning buildings that we're adding. Just to make the categories a bit shorter. Some of them are staying where they are, most of them staying where they are, particularly ones that were at the start of the queue, because I don't know about you guys, but I've got muscle memory that I can just go, 1-1 for a hut, 2-1 for a potato field, and so on. So I didn't want to change those ones up because it would mess up my muscle memory. Talked about that. So I think the last change I have to talk about, and there's more. There's some all sorts of bug fixes. We've rebalanced the early game, so some buildings are cheaper or quicker to make, especially the ruined ship. Again, just getting things moving. Oh, there we go. We now have a nice pond to look at. Hooray! There'll be variations. There'll be different shapes of pond that you can get. But the other thing is we decided to give meals and smoothies better effects, new effects. Um, so as you know, different kinds of food and different kinds of drink give your peeps better happiness. So if we have a look at this dude, they've eaten vegetables and drunk tea, so they're happier. And meals and smoothies are even better. So a meal will give you 3 pluses and a smoothie, and a good meal or a good smoothie will give you 4. I think that's right. Um, and we decided that that wasn't quite enough, and we wanted to give them an extra effect. So eating meals makes your peeps stronger, and when they go and fetch resources, instead of having a maximum load of 4, they have a maximum load of 5, and a maximum load of 6 if they have eaten a good meal. And that also multiplies if they're working at a warehouse or a port and using a wheelbarrow. So that would be, instead of 8, they'll carry 10 or 12. And then drinking a smoothie, it increases your peeps' work day. So you can see here this timer going down. So peeps will normally work in a building for 2 minutes, and then they head home, they eat, they drink, they come back and they keep working. So you've got that pause in each building as the workers go away and come back. If they drink a smoothie, that time becomes 2.5 minutes, and if they drink a good smoothie, it becomes 3 minutes. So they'll actually use less resources because they're eating and drinking less often, but also they spend more time at work, less time commuting. So the places where they work will be more more productive, which is pretty cool. Comment from Ninja Pizza Monkey. This update basically: use brain less when trading, more when planning buildings. Also, no more ignoring pollution and more choices with islands. Yeah, that's pretty much it. The official reasoning behind this update was, once we were released on Steam, people were able finally to give us reviews, give us comments, and it wasn't self-selecting for fans of the game. So we've had our Discord since well before we released on Epic, like 2 more years ago. We've had the Discord. And we've had heaps of amazing feedback and bug reports and everything through that, and through the Reddit as well. But certainly the Discord, by its nature, self-selects for people that are already fans for the game, already into the game. So the feedback we got was, skewed positive. People told us they loved the game because they did, because it's a cool game, and why wouldn't you love it? But once we released on Steam, between reviews and the Steam forums, it was no longer that self-selection. So we got some feedback from people who, they still played the game, but they weren't liking it as much. And we decided that it was all really good feedback, and we really liked getting it. So thank you everyone that did that. And the whole point of this update is answering the major things of some of those comments. So things like, shipping is too hard. That one we would have fixed earlier. We figured out how to fix it. But also, the exploration later on becoming less interesting, which is why we have these nanotech things, and not having enough consequences for pollution, which is why we now have Wasteland, and people getting lost in the drag of some of the early things taking too long, like repairing the ship, and in particular repairing the spaceship. Is now, it still, takes some doing, but it doesn't take anywhere near as much. You don't have to have as many resources, and it doesn't take as long to repair, so that you can get off planet faster, which is pretty cool. So that is the Wasteland update. And happily, we're coming up on an hour. So I think I was only going to stream for an hour to show off all the cool stuff we've added. Which I have now done. So any more questions? Anything else you're wanting to know? What's my favourite colour? What's the name of my cats? Anything like that? Stick it in chat. So I'm just going to play quietly for a few minutes while you think about that, and we'll see if there's anything more to talk about. Alright, you're done. Okay, I need a colony ship. That's what's next. Colony ship. What's the name of your cat? We have 2 cats. So we have 3 chickens, 2 rabbits, and 2 cats. The cats are actually called Bonkers and Looney, which we decided long before we got them that that's what they was going to be called. Officially, they're called Baxter and Luna because we didn't want the vet to think that we're weird, but no, they're Bonkers and Looney. The rabbits are Maple and Walnut, and I can't remember the names of the chickens. Oh, what was that? Lucy, Suzette, and Mary. There you go. We used to have 5, but dogs took a couple of them, and one of them got sick and died, as they do. Thank you, Ninja. He says I love those names. We're pretty happy with them. Yeah, and I'm terribly sorry, Webby, if you're still there about not remembering the names of my chickens. What's going on? Oh, we've got weather, don't we? It's hot. It's hot out there. Come on, people. Finish it off for me. Go and find another island. How are you guys doing? So what have we got on this island? Is this the... Ah, this is the ruined spaceship island. So yeah, you can see here, I think it used to need more fuel and more steel and more glass, so it took a long time to gather those resources. So we reduced a lot of those. And also, just when it's constructing, it constructs faster. Less waiting around for something interesting to happen was the idea. Oh, there we go, colony ship. Off we go. You had a chicken named Soup Chicken once. Wow. That's So was it for soup, or was that just what it was called? Yeah, I hope people's Bowie said people will love the tweak for the spaceship. Yeah, it's quite understandable that it was a bit dull waiting for it, which is not what we wanted. Here we go. Oh, where's my iron? Iron. Oh, I don't know. Why would I put a house up there? Stupid muscle memory. There we go. And we'll put a power there. There we go. Cool. All right. So there we go. That's enough for now, I think. So thank you, everyone. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for watching along. And there we go. That is what is going to be the Wasteland update. Coming out, as I said, coming out early-ish next year. Don't know a date yet, but we'll tell you as soon as we do, and hopefully on the experimental branch at the end of the week. So look forward to that. Come and give it a go and tell us all your feedback and how we've got it completely wrong or completely right, and we'll see what we end up delivering, which will be good. Awesome. Have a nice week, everyone, and I will talk to you later.